Hey guys, there are so many great games out there, a lot of them that I haven't played, but if I'm honest, most of the ones that I don't really want to play are turn-based RPGs. Why would I ever want to play a game in a genre that I don't like?
Meanwhile, that has got Mario in it. Nintendo fans are a lot like gun and ball gamers, except instead of only playing games with gun and ball, they specifically avoid gun and ball and only play jump and run games until Nintendo makes their own version of it. Never played an RTS? Pikmin. Never liked shooters? You got Splatoon and Kid Icarus Uprising. Racing games? I only play Mario Kart and Kirby Air Ride, buddy. Get in line, because if it doesn't have a cute little guy in it made by a Japanese company, I ain't buying! I'm still waiting on Grand Theft Mario though. Trust me guys, that'll be the first $120 game after Nintendo develops it for over a decade. Grand Theft Auto 6 would never be able to justify a price that high. Maybe $100 for Grand Theft Auto. Rockstar could get away with that, but $120? Only me and my Nintendo compatriots would spend such hard-earned dough to play the best game ever made. Something about Nintendo just makes people so obsessed with them. Half the games Nintendo fans got excited for on the Switch 1 for its entire lifespan was either Nintendo games or old Nintendo games, with the other half being old third-party games and indies. And when the game was a more recent AAA game, it'd be a pretty concerning way to play the game most of the time. Growing up, the GameCube, Game Boy, and Xbox were my primary consoles, and then it was the Wii, PS3, and DS. Then I started getting into PC gaming and just started collecting everything I found interesting. So I obviously am partly a Nintendo fan, and even have a little Nintendo bias myself. I know exactly where some of these people are coming from. These games are damn fun, man. Tell me to list off some of my favorite games, and probably half of them alone will be Nintendo games.
Luigi's Mansion, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, Star Fox 64, Mario Party 4, Super Mario World, Metroid Dread, Chibi Robo, Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, Kid Icarus Uprising.
But also, if you tell me to list off a bunch of games I hate irrationally, half that list will also be Nintendo.
Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3, Sticker Star, Color Splash, Origami King.
Nintendo is an extremely hit-or-miss company for me. They're mostly hits, but when they miss it, it really misses hard. When Nintendo messes up, they mess up in a cataclysmic way that won't be forgotten. Are you still going?
All of the Pokemon games that run bad.
Anyways, as I've said, a lot of my favorite games are Nintendo, but you can see from my gaming habits that I'm able to remove myself from Nintendo as a brand and experience everything this medium has to offer. I'm not better than you, I'm just saying you're narrow-minded.
I bought this garbage because I thought it was cool.
All jokes aside, isn't Nintendo bias kind of weird? Not liking Nintendo, I'm talking actual bias. You prefer everything Nintendo. You almost exclusively only play on Nintendo consoles. You play pretty much all of their games. Hell, maybe you even defend them when they're doing horrible, horrible things.
The Nintendo 3DS was over 10 years old when Nintendo shut down the servers. Honestly, I don't really mind. I don't want Nintendo wasting any money on servers that they don't need anymore. Also, I think emulation's a sin.
Obviously, there's fanboys for everything, but there's something distinctly frustrating about the average Nintendo fanboy. And I think it's the hypocritical xenophobia.
God, I hate everything the Japanese do. They're so weird. But Mario's so good.
Despite Nintendo being a Japanese company and its content being very inspired by Japanese culture, and them making very Japanese games, once you ask a Nintendo fan to play Fire Emblem or Xenoblade, they'll look at you like you killed their mom. But Nintendo bias goes even further than just preferring Nintendo games and being weirdly against anything that's not Nintendo. It's also kind of about rewriting history. Tell me, judging by how many YouTubers talk about Nintendo games versus, say, the PlayStation, you'd probably assume the Nintendo 64 sold more units than the PlayStation 1. Which is really, really wrong. A lot of the most popular gaming content from YouTubers in the early days up until like the mid-late 2010s is typically based around Nintendo. Banjo and Kazooie, GoldenEye, Mega Man, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, all these games that you typically associate with Nintendo consoles. And yet, almost all of these games sold fractions of the best-selling games on PlayStation. The best-selling game on PlayStation is Gran Turismo at 10 million, with Super Mario 64 being at a nearly 12 million. And yet, the rest of the games on the PlayStation, on average, sold far, far more than anything on the Nintendo 64. Banjo and Kazooie sold more than 3 million copies. Wanna know what else sold more than 3 million copies? Be honest. Do you know who the fuck that is? I don't. Got him out of my fucking house. I didn't invite him in. Who is that? It also doesn't help matters that most of the best-selling games on Nintendo 64 were part of console bundles. A lot of the best games of all time, from the NES all the way up to the GameCube era, were games that, by all means, not as popular as people made them out to be. Don't take this the wrong way. 3 million copies of a game in the 90s is a damn lot. But there are less than 15 games that even cracked 3 million on the Nintendo 64, and 30 games on the PlayStation 1 that sold more than 3 million. Obviously, sales don't always correlate to cultural relevancy or quality. I mean, look at James Cameron's Avatar. No, seriously, look at it. Can you tell me anything about that movie? Statistically, you've seen that movie. I can assure you, I don't remember a damn thing from that movie. I bet you didn't know Croc Legend of Gobbles was in there, and you can't prove me wrong because you don't remember that movie. And despite me saying all of this, Nintendo makes some banger games, dude. But the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube were tiny in comparison to the competition they had in those eras. So tiny, in fact, that the GameCube was considered a flop. And yet, I think that's when Nintendo put out some of their most consistent and quality titles in history until the Nintendo Switch. And even then, I think the Switch has more stinkers in the first-party lineup than the GameCube ever had. Not the Nintendo 64, though. I kind of fucking hate that console. Just because something didn't sell as well as something else doesn't mean that it's less culturally relevant, but the Nintendo bias narrows the field of view from those other fantastic games on other consoles. Gran Turismo, the original Tekken trilogy, the original Resident Evil trilogy, all these games have insane cultural relevance and were PS1 games, including whatever the hell was on the Sega Genesis. I don't know. People don't talk about that console like ever. I don't know what's on it. Sonic 2. See, that's what I mean. Where the hell are all the Sega biased YouTubers that talk about the definitely good and definitely was a hit and sold well Sega Saturn title, Bug? Statistically, that guy exists, but I don't think anyone envies that guy. Regardless, despite all this, I really do get it. Something about Nintendo is magical. At least back in the day when the people biased towards it today would have been growing up. There was also something fantastical about their consoles, especially starting with the GameCube. Holding Z on the console startup would just make the startup noise change. The DS would remember your birthday and change the startup jingle to be a higher pitch. The menu on the Wii was like selecting, well, channels on a TV. Sometimes you'd play through a game and get a little thank you message in your mailbox from the game. When playing some games on the DS, if you close the lid, they'll play a soundbite of Mario saying bye. It's all very adorable. When transferring data from another console on Wii U or 3DS, Pikmin represent the progress bar and they pick up your parts of data and bring it over to the other side. Honestly, the 3DS on its own is just so full of love in every part of its presentation. Sound will cause the icons on the top screen to spin. After updates, you can customize the 3DS main menu. The eShop had original music that was made just for it, and it was great. Even downloading on the eShop is visualized in such a cute way. We can talk about this for hours. Really, even if you aren't a Nintendo fan, you know the products they make are quality. The consoles themselves have so much personality. A Nintendo 3DS might play Nintendo DS games, but it's a different console, and sometimes playing a DS game on an actual DS with the personality of the original hardware, it just can't be beaten. I haven't even talked about Spot Pass and Street Pass yet. So much of my life has been occupied with a 3DS in my pocket, waiting for a green flash on a notification light, spending time with friends collecting the puzzle pieces and seeing people's Miis and what they've been playing. DS download play was a staple of many childhood friend groups. I love all of these things, and I miss them so much with the Switch and Switch 2, essentially having none of this. There's some remnants left, but if you ask me, what console has left a bigger impression on me with its games and user interface? Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo? Well, it's Nintendo. Almost every single time. Recently, consoles have been pretty boring, especially the Switch 1 and 2. There's sauce in there, but it's dried up and flaking away. But the memories I have from the older catalog of consoles really sticks with me. I could be here all day talking about the consoles themselves, and I don't have enough time to talk about the games and their intricacies that give them the charm that you can't find anywhere else. Nintendo bias might be a little stupid at times, hell, it can be downright annoying. But in a way, it's really impressive the way Nintendo as a company can make you feel attached to their products. The GameCube is my favorite game console from that generation. I've owned every single one of their handhelds since the Game Boy SP came out, and I can't tell you how many memories and great moments in my life are attached to not only Nintendo's consoles, but their games and experiences. The only reason I know how to whistle is because I loved the Super Smash Bros. Melee menu theme when I was a kid, and I would just spend my day not trying to whistle. I've made friends just because I saw them with DS's and 3DS's out in public or at school. A big reason I even made this channel is because of how not just gaming, but Nintendo affected me growing up. Even if I hate them sometimes, it cannot take away the way they shaped me and how I appreciate and want to create and engage with art. Nintendo bias is a genuine thing that I don't struggle to separate myself from, but I know Nintendo at the end of the day is just a company. But without them, I also wouldn't have not only a lot of my favorite games, but my actual top favorite games and series. Without Nintendo's genius thinking in the 90s to make portable game consoles like the Game Boy and eventually the Game Boy Advance, the very existence of Ace Attorney probably never would have come to be. It's almost impossible to not give credit to Nintendo, even when sometimes their feats can be exaggerated or misinformed. They've done a lot, probably more than any other company in the gaming space. So if you're a Nintendo fan that's weirdly obsessed with the company to the point of defending a company, I almost kind of get it, but I don't, because I'm not spending 110 Canadian dollars for Mario Kart World. Are you insane?
I always feel mixed about Nintendo. I love their games, I love their consoles, but their business practices sometimes, especially lately, just leave me so frustrated. But I don't think I can ever bring myself to truly hate Nintendo, because the company is different from the people actually working on the games who very clearly want to show that they have a love for the art that they're making there at the company that only a Nintendo fan can. Oh. It seems that Nintendo has beheaded a woman for pirating Animal Crossing and has saddled her preschool child with $3 million of debt that she'll never be able to pay off for the rest of her life. It was in their legal right to do that.